You were meant to hear this. Right now, in this very moment. This is a divine interruption. A whisper from the heavens meant to land directly in the deepest part of your spirit. Don't just listen with your ears. Listen with the part of you that's been aching for clarity. That silent place inside that's been crying out for answers too sacred to say out loud. You felt it, haven't you? That stirring. That weight in your chest when everything else goes quiet. The Most High has seen it. He knows. And he's sending this message not to startle you, but to set you free. There is someone in your life who once made you feel as though the sun itself had shifted its course just to shine on you. The way he looked at you, it was as if the sky had opened and poured favor into your life. The way he held your hand, it felt like eternity had found a way to wrap itself around a single moment. And the love, it was real. It still is. Even now, though he can't always explain it to himself, that feeling remains. But chosen one, there is something you must now receive, and it may shake you, not because it's unkind, but because it is truth. He has feelings for someone else, too. Not with the same depth, not with the same echo of forever that lives in your bond, but still something is there, and you were never meant to ignore that. You were meant to walk in truth, even when it hurts, because it is through truth that the Lord begins to heal. The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit. Psalm 34-18. You are not being cast aside. You are being invited into something higher, closer to the heart of God. A new chapter waits, written by hands that have only ever wanted good things for you. Now, as you step forward into this divine revelation, I invite you to declare your readiness. Type Amen in the comments as a bold sign that you are willing to walk in truth and to receive the healing that only the Lord can give. And stay with me until the very end, because we will close with a prayer, one that could mark the beginning of your restoration. There is something hidden, tucked away in the quieter corners of his life that has taken up space. It's not love. Not the kind that anchors hearts through every storm or breathes eternity into simple moments. But it lingers. It exists, a presence he doesn't speak of. Not because he wishes to deceive, but because saying it aloud would force him to confront a truth he's not ready to hold. And within him is a fear, quiet, restless, that you've sensed all along. You felt it in his hesitation, in the way his eyes search for words he refuses to say. He keeps parts of himself locked away, not out of betrayal, but out of fear that if you saw everything, he might lose the one thing that has ever felt safe you. Yet silence, however well-meaning, builds walls. Not overnight, but piece by piece, every withheld confession, every unspoken apology, every moment he chose comfort over courage. And now, those walls are real. You feel them. Even in the stillness of shared space, even when he lies beside you, the warmth is no longer whole. The connection is fraying not from anger, but from avoidance. There is someone in his life who shouldn't be there, not like this. She didn't arrive like a storm. She slipped in quietly, wrapped in laughter and soft understanding. Not someone he ever intended to hold close, but someone who spoke to the parts of him that still feel unfinished, unnoticed, not enough. She made him feel like more, when all he felt was less. And what began as a harmless exchange, a passing moment of connection, has now grown roots. What was once a door he thought he could close has turned into a path he can't seem to turn back from. He is confused. And you are standing at the edge of something you didn't choose. But chosen one, heaven sees you. You are not here because of chance. This message comes not to crush you, but to free you from the weight of questions you were never meant to carry alone. This isn't about blame. It's about clarity. It's about no longer mistaking endurance for peace, or calling confusion patience when it's actually pain. You have been faithful. You have prayed in silence and cried behind smiles. You have forgiven things no one even knew had hurt you. You have stayed not because you were weak, but because you believed in the power of love. You hoped, you waited, you loved with a strength that could shake the gates of hell. And yet, that quiet voice in your spirit has kept whispering, something isn't right. It wasn't doubt. It wasn't insecurity. It was discernment. Now, heaven speaks with clarity. You were not created to be someone's backup plan. You are not a placeholder. You are not a pause before someone else's real beginning. For God is not a God of confusion, but of peace. 1 Corinthians 14:33. What he's battling now is not just a choice between two people, it's a deeper war inside himself, between the man he wants to be and the one who still seeks approval in all the wrong places, between the easy way and the honest way. And while you can see the beauty in him, the potential, the goodness, you cannot rescue someone who won't reach for the light. The Most High has not forgotten you. He has not looked away from your tears. He who numbers every hair on your head, who collects every tear in a bottle, Psalm 56:8, sees how heavy this has been. But he is not asking you to stay lost in someone else's indecision. He is calling you back to your worth. Your soul was never meant to be a footnote in someone else's story. You were created to be chosen, seen, pursued with clarity and love. Not confusion, not delay, not almost. You are not being punished. You are being prepared for something whole, something true. Because what God ordains, he also protects. And what he removes to make room for what will truly last. So lift your head, even if it trembles. Healing is not born from answers, it begins with truth. And today, truth has found you. There is something sacred about the ache you carry, the unspoken tension, the quiet knowledge that something in the connection you've given so much to remains incomplete, not because your heart is lacking, but because your presence has stirred something that the other soul may not yet be ready to face. Souls like yours, the ones entrusted with deep love and fierce discernment, are rarely led into shallow waters. Instead, you are called into places where the light within you touches what others have buried, not to expose for shame, but to reveal what is still waiting to be healed. This is why you often find yourself in situations that feel emotionally layered, tangled in moments that should be clear, but somehow remain cloudy. It's not chaos you attract, it's truth. And truth, when it collides with someone still afraid of their own reflection, creates confusion, not because you bring disorder, but because you bring light. And light has never entered a dark room without causing discomfort first. Your love is not small. It does not live at the surface. You do not merely hear what is said, you feel what is hidden. You sense the unsaid things, the wounded places, the tremble behind someone's strength. This is not weakness. This is not oversensitivity. It is a gift. But when your gift is placed beside someone who has not yet learned to be honest with themselves, it becomes a mirror they are not ready to look into. And so, they resist not with words always, but with hesitation, avoidance, or a love that pulls close but never quite lands. This is the reason why relationships like this often live in that difficult in-between, close but distant, warm yet vague, honest but never fully whole. It's not that the connection is meaningless, it's that meaning requires bravery. And not every soul is ready to face what meaning demands. Some are still bargaining with their past. Some are still clinging to familiar patterns that feel safe even if they're empty. And when they meet someone like you, someone who sees clearly, someone who brings both comfort and accountability, it shakes something loose in them. Sometimes they draw near, other times they retreat. Even in Scripture, we see how often those who carried truth were misunderstood, resisted, even feared, not because they spoke loudly, but because their presence challenged what others were trying to hide. The prophet Elisha walked with power and insight, and yet his very nearness stirred discomfort in kings who preferred silence to correction. And even the Lord himself, when he walked among his people in flesh, was rejected not because he was false, but because he was too true. As it is written, "Have I now become your enemy by telling you the truth?" Galatians 4:16. You may be asking yourself why things that feel so close to love never seem to fully become it. Why someone who clearly feels something still lives as if they don't know how to receive it. Why conversations go deep but never lead to clarity. Why you keep forgiving quietly, waiting patiently, smiling through your ache. The truth is not that you are being overlooked. The truth is that you are being called to recognize the difference between love that is present and love that is ready. This is not about proving your worth. You have nothing left to prove. You have shown grace. You have held space. You have remained kind even when confusion clouded your joy. And still, the weight of waiting has grown heavier, not just because of what is missing, but because your spirit has started to outgrow what your heart was still hoping to fix. And now you stand at a turning point, not because you want to walk away, but because your soul is asking a different question. Is staying in this place asking me to shrink what God has planted in me? You were not born to live in emotional limbo. You were not created to be loved in silence while your heart cries out for clarity. As painful as it may be, grief is not always a sign of something lost. Sometimes it is a sign that you are finally seeing clearly. You are grieving not because your love was untrue, but because it could not find a place to fully live. The grief is not a punishment, it is an awakening. It marks the holy shift between longing for someone to rise to meet you and realizing that love must be mutual in its readiness, not just its emotion. In the book of Ruth, we find a woman who understood loss deeply, who buried her past and walked into an unknown future. But she did not walk alone. She walked with loyalty, with discernment, with honor. And when the time was right, provision met her at the threshold of her surrender. She did not chase, she did not cling to what no longer fit her future. She moved forward, and the Lord brought someone who not only saw her but chose her. Ruth's story is not just about romantic love. It is about divine alignment, about trusting that where there is faithfulness, there will be favor. Chosen one, the Lord is not asking you to harden your heart. He is inviting you to strengthen your vision. He is not removing love from your life. He is refining your definition of it. Real love does not hide behind silence. It does not demand you interpret inconsistency as devotion. It does not call you to guess or to diminish yourself so another can feel safe. Love that is aligned with God's heart will not make you feel like a burden to be managed. It will call you a blessing to be cherished. As it is written, let what you say be simply yes or no. Anything more than this comes from evil. Matthew 5:37. Let your heart no longer settle for ambiguity. Let your spirit no longer accept emotional half-light. The Most High has called you to peace, not the shallow peace of avoidance, but the deep peace of truth. You are now being led into wisdom. And wisdom will teach you that not everything meaningful is meant to stay. Not everything tender is trustworthy. And not every soul that feels deeply is prepared to walk faithfully. This is not a punishment. This is protection. The clarity that hurts now will become the freedom that heals later. You are not too much. You are not too sensitive. You are not imagining things. You are awakening. And awakening always comes with separation from illusion, from delay, from the versions of love that ask you to wait indefinitely for someone else's healing. Let go of the need to be chosen by someone who does not yet know how to choose themselves. This moment is not the end of love, it is the beginning of alignment. It is the unveiling of a truth your spirit has long known, that being deeply felt is not the same as being faithfully chosen, and the kind of love you were made for. It will not confuse you. It will not fear your depth. It will not delay. It will not hide. It will come boldly, and it will stay. There comes a time in every soul's journey when love itself must be examined, not by how deeply it is felt, but by whether it can be lived with truth, with courage, and with alignment. What your heart is being invited to understand now is a lesson many don't arrive at until much later in life. Not all love that feels profound has the strength to become what it promises. It's easy to confuse intensity with destiny, to feel connection and assume commitment. After all, when a bond feels sacred, when someone's presence moves you in places even prayer has yet to reach, it feels impossible that it could be anything but right. But chosen one, depth of feeling and maturity of character are not one and the same. One can be moved, stirred, even transformed by love, and still not be ready to walk in the discipline that love requires. The man your heart has held space for is not empty. His affection is not counterfeit. But sincerity alone is not enough to build something lasting. Emotion may open the door, but it is responsibility that keeps it from closing. True love is not merely what is felt behind closed doors, it's what someone is willing to hold steady in the light, when being seen costs something, when sacrifice is required, when fear whispers that retreat would be easier. Scripture speaks of the wise and foolish builders. In Matthew 7:24-27, one built his house on the rock, the other on sand. Both homes may look the same at first, both may stand in the sunlight, but only one survives when the storm comes. In the same way, love without structure, without integrity, without resolve, may appear strong in stillness, but it cannot stand when reality begins to press in. This man may feel love, but he has not yet built the foundation to carry it. That does not make him false, it makes him unfinished. And unfinished hearts often search for comfort in connection, hoping another person's light might patch the places they have not yet learned to heal. But no connection, no matter how sacred it feels, can substitute for the inner work a soul must choose for itself. Your pain, then, is not born from a lack of affection. It's born from the dissonance between what is felt and what is followed through. From hearing beautiful things in private but seeing no clear path in public. From sensing deep emotion but never being met with grounded presence. These are not flaws you've imagined. These are real gaps. Gaps that cannot be bridged by more love, more patience, or more hoping on your part. There is a cost to emotional depth when it isn't matched by clarity. It creates a bond, yes, but a bond without direction. A closeness without container. It moves like water, powerful but uncontained, spilling into confusion, secrecy, and longing. And when there's no structure, love drifts. Not because it was weak, but because it lacked a place to rest. This is the truth the Spirit is gently revealing now. You are not being asked to question whether the love was real. You are being asked to recognize whether it had the capacity to grow into what your soul was created to receive. Real love does not demand interpretation. It does not make you translate silence into reassurance. It does not give you moments of intensity, only to leave you stranded in uncertainty. When love is whole, it shows up not just with emotion, but with decision, with alignment, with peace. You are being called to wisdom, not bitterness, to discernment, not denial. This kind of clarity doesn't erase what was beautiful, it redefines it. It gives you the power to say, what I felt was true, but it is not enough to carry me forward. That is not defeat, that is maturity, that is healing. There are some relationships that are not meant to last, but to teach, to show us the vital difference between being wanted and being chosen, between emotional resonance and spiritual readiness. Once you've seen that difference, you can no longer unsee it. You no longer cling to what almost fits. You no longer beg for the bare minimum to stay. Because love, when understood rightly, does not ask for your wholeness in exchange for fragments of someone else's readiness. As Paul wrote in 1 Corinthians 13:11, "When I was a child, I spoke like a child, thought like a child, reasoned like a child. But when I became a man, I gave up childish ways." There is a turning point in every soul's journey when we stop romanticizing what simply stirs us and begin honoring what truly sustains us. You are reaching that point, not because you've become cold, but because your heart is becoming wise. This is not about whether he loved you. This is about whether that love had the spine to stand, the roots to grow, the truth to last. And now you know, love alone was never the missing piece. Readiness was. Let that truth free you, not from love itself, but from the illusion that love without structure will someday become safe. Let it carry you into the kind of wholeness that no longer waits to be chosen, but stands in the confidence of knowing what love must look like when it is real and ready and rooted in truth. And now, as the truth begins to take shape not in one single moment, but slowly, in the ache between what you sense and what remains unsaid, your heart begins to tremble, not out of weakness, but because somewhere within you, you already know. You have felt it in the silence that suddenly feels louder than words, in the stillness of nights when your spirit won't settle, in the way your peace has started to crack without explanation. There is a reason your soul feels this tension, this disruption, this spiritual noise beneath the surface of your day-to-day life. It is not mere anxiety, it is not imagination. It is the divine unraveling of what was never meant to stay hidden. What was planted in secret, nourished by denial, and cloaked in avoidance, is now being drawn into the light, not to harm, but to heal. The one you love may still love you, but he is entangled in something that was never meant to share space with truth. He has told himself stories, small ones at first. It's harmless, it'll pass, I'm in control. But what begins in denial often deepens in silence. What he once believed he could contain has now begun to contain him. And that weight, though unspoken, is pressing into every part of your connection. You have seen the signs, though you may have tried to dismiss them. The shift in his eyes, the care with which he speaks, the way his phone disappears into shadows, the smile that doesn't reach his eyes, the embrace that holds your body but no longer reaches your soul. This distance, subtle, unannounced, but unmistakable, is not yours to carry. Yet you've been holding it anyway. And now, the Most High is calling you not into rage or retaliation, but into clarity. This moment is not about destruction, it is about revelation. It is about allowing the light of truth to do what only light can do: cleanse, expose, and make whole. Scripture says, everything exposed by the light becomes visible, and everything that is illuminated becomes a light. Ephesians 5:13. The light does not come to shame, it comes to purify, to restore what has been fractured by silence, and to remind the soul of what is holy. He has been running not necessarily from you, but from the part of himself that cannot yet stand in full honesty. And still, your heart stayed. You've stretched yourself across this widening gap. You've prayed silently. You've offered understanding in the face of confusion. You've made peace offerings without knowing what war you were even in. But now, chosen one, you must return to yourself, because love does not mean sacrificing your voice. Love does not mean handing over your peace as collateral for someone else's process. Yes, you saw his goodness. Yes, you believed in the beauty of what could be. But belief in someone's potential should never cost you your presence with yourself. There will come a day soon when everything will rise to the surface. The secret will no longer be able to stay hidden beneath soft smiles and "I'm just tired" excuses. He will be faced with a decision to finally tell the truth or to turn away from it. Not because you forced him, but because the weight of pretending will have become too heavy to bear. And when that day comes, your role is not to break. Your role is to stand, not in bitterness, but in truth, not to collapse, but to rise. To hear what hurts without letting it decide your value. To receive what is revealed without assuming you caused it. To protect the parts of you that have gone unnoticed for too long, not because you're hard, but because you are finally learning to be whole. You may feel the urge to protect him, even now, to shield him from the consequences of what he's hidden. But this time, you must protect yourself. This time, You must hold yourself with the same tenderness you once gave away so freely. The same grace you extended to him must now be extended inward, to the places in you that have bled quietly for too long. As the prophet Isaiah wrote, "In quietness and trust is your strength." Isaiah 30:15. Not in noise, not in desperate fixing, but in stillness, rooted in truth. That is where you will find the strength to face what is coming, not as a victim of someone else's dishonesty, but as a vessel of wisdom shaped by love and refined by clarity. You are not being punished, you are being preserved. You are not being abandoned, you are being realigned. The interruption in your peace is not a sign of divine neglect, it is a sign of divine protection. Something sacred is being birthed through this unraveling. A new intimacy with truth, a new loyalty to your own spirit, a new awareness of what love must truly look like in order to last. You are not wrong for feeling everything you felt. You are not weak for holding hope in the face of uncertainty. But now, you are being called to a deeper strength, the kind that does not wait for someone to choose you clearly before you choose yourself. Let the light do its work. Let the truth be seen. And let your heart be held not by someone unsure, but by the one who has never once been confused about your worth. After the storm of realization, after truth begins its quiet but undeniable rising within you, there is often a moment where the soul seeks direction. Not noise, not urgency, just direction. You may feel the pull to confront, to demand, to untangle every thread all at once. But that is not what this moment asks of you. Heaven is not calling you into reaction. You are being led into restoration. And restoration, unlike reaction, begins not with outward motion, but with inward return. What you are being drawn toward now is not conflict, not defense, and not performance. You are being asked to come home to yourself in a way you may have forgotten. Slowly, tenderly, with sacred attention. The path forward is not paved by forcing outcomes. It begins with quiet honesty, the kind that doesn't need an audience, the kind that doesn't require proof. The first step is stillness. Not just physical stillness, but spiritual quiet. Create space in your daily rhythm to listen not to opinions or fears, but to your own internal knowing. That gentle awareness that has been whispering beneath the noise. As Psalm 46:10 reminds us, "Be still and know that I am God." Stillness reveals what chaos has buried. In those quiet spaces, truth will begin to surface not in a rush, but in a steady return. You may notice your body has been telling the truth long before your mind was ready to admit it. The second step, then, is to stop overriding what your intuition has been faithfully reporting. Wisdom is not the same as self-denial. Discernment does not require you to endlessly absorb discomfort in the name of patience. There is a holy difference between spiritual endurance and emotional self-abandonment. When your heart clenches at repeated patterns, when your sleep becomes restless, when a single conversation leaves your spirit drained for hours, these are not coincidences, these are signals. These are the echoes of your truth, trying to find a voice through your body. Begin honoring them. Stop explaining them away. You do not need to accuse anyone to stop betraying yourself. The next act is subtle but powerful. Reclaim your boundaries, not as punishment, but as protection. Boundaries are not walls to shut others out, they are gates that guard your peace. In everyday life, this may look like no longer overextending yourself emotionally, no longer filling in all the silences, no longer softening your words so someone else doesn't feel discomfort you didn't create. Sometimes love speaks best through space. As Ecclesiastes 3 reminds us, there is a time to speak and a time to be silent. Let silence be a mirror. Let it reveal what words have tried to disguise. The fourth step is perhaps the hardest. Choose truth over hope alone. Hope is holy, but hope without grounding becomes delay dressed as devotion. You are not giving up on love by seeking reality. You are giving love the only chance it has to become real. Ask yourself honest questions, quietly, privately, gently. Are you being seen clearly, or just needed occasionally? Is your peace growing in this space, or shrinking beneath uncertainty? Write what comes. Give shape to what your heart already knows. Truth becomes more stable when it is no longer floating unspoken inside you. Fifth, prepare yourself not for an outcome, but for clarity. Do not build rehearsed conversations. Do not brace for apologies or betrayals. Simply tend to your foundation. Nourish yourself physically. Eat, rest. Speak kindly to the parts of you that feel raw. Strengthen your internal stability so that whatever truth emerges, you do not collapse beneath it.